Everybody, good morning. Good morning to you. It is a Monday morning in September here in Ohio. It's time for another episode of Sippin Coffee with Spider. I'm here, got the coffee. It's morning. Let's get her done, huh? So let's take a look at last week's news as we do on this show. Okay? Let's see what we have. It looks like, according to CBS News, the SpaceX Crew Dragon ferries 3-man, 1-woman crew to International Space Station. So we know we were talking about that the last several days. The initial launch had to be scrubbed, and they rescheduled it, and looks like it went off without a hitch. So there you go. It's kind of a slow day by the look of the news, honestly. This might be a short show. I don't know. Here's a good one for people like me who are into this kind of stuff. This is from VinePair. Irish spirits exports reached record highs in 2022. How very interesting. I think a lot of spirits and a lot of alcohols hit record highs, except maybe for Bud Light, I suppose, but that's a whole other story. I have no stake in that either. I don't want people to get the wrong impression and think I'm just downing on them just because, but whatever that is, it's a disaster. But anyway, according to VinePair, Irish Spirits sales continue to grow, with 2022 showing record highs, according to the Irish Spirits Market Report 2022 by Trade Body Drinks Ireland. The report states that Irish spirit sales within the country increased 6%, and the value of spirit exports jumped up a staggering 17.3% to almost 1.5 billion euros, pushing both domestic sales and exports to the highest levels ever recorded. And this data demonstrates the continued growth of the Irish spirits category, adding to the gains seen in the previous year. Now, I think this is it's interesting because there's been a lot of new Irish whiskeys and things showing up over the course of the last few years. I know I opened myself up to a whole new layer of alcohol during the virus years, of course. And some people like to think those aren't over yet, and they're pushing for more of this and more of that. But the virus is done. It's done. Give it up. But anyway, yeah, there's been a whole lot of. I even got in on the ground floor on a couple of new distilleries and new expressions when I was ordering throughout that time period, and I'm glad I did. I gave some business to some new distilleries at the time, and I'm glad I could help them get on their feet with a bottle here and there. And even the Irish poachine industry, which poachine is a spirit that's unique to Ireland. That's I'm not real keen on it myself. I'll tell you that. I don't really care for it too much. I have a couple of bottles. One's unopened because I didn't like it. It was kind of like sake, I guess, according to Rob from This Uncanny Earth. And he really likes that because he likes Japanese culture and all that kind of stuff. And I don't like sake. I'm not into it. Sake is made from rice most of the time, and the poachine is made from potatoes, I believe. And I like most things potato, but I don't like poachine. I just don't. Not the ones that I've had anyway. Who knows? Maybe something in the future will grab me. Washington Post. Hollywood writers are still on strike. Here's where WGA, the Writers Guild of America, and studios stand. This has been going on for several weeks now. They have differences over residuals for streaming shows, which are like royalties and things like that, the use of AI, the number of writers that shows must use, and lengths of employment. And they are picketing at the offices of HBO and Amazon in New York City and in other places. And they've been on strike since May 2nd. So that's May, June, July, August, and it's now September. So it's been 4 full months at least. And I think a lot of it is, it's as somebody who used to be a musician, I'm not so much now anymore, but I was. I know very much how difficult it is to make a living in streaming. I mean, it wasn't that easy before because couldn't get a record deal. Nobody really wanted to take a chance on anything of mine. And then I thought, well, I can just put my stuff on the internet and people buy it that way. And then it's even more difficult to get into that, plus to get paid fairly, like with Spotify and iTunes and all that. And so musicians already have been dealing with that as a whole. And now it's hit Hollywood, all the streaming stuff. And they're understandably getting a little bit irritated because they're all being hit in the pocketbook. When you mess with somebody's living, mess with somebody's money, things tend to get ugly. So we'll see how it goes. I don't expect a huge change, honestly. I expect some small concessions here and there, but streaming is unfortunately here to stay. Netflix isn't going anywhere. Amazon isn't going anywhere. Apple isn't going anywhere. None of these people are going to go anywhere. That's the future. Pardon me, I kind of have a little bit of hoarse throat today. So, I'm not coming down with anything. I'm not sick. I just one of those bad throat days. This is from Reuters. Tropical storm Idalia expected to hit Florida as a hurricane. We saw Tropical storm Hillary recently, which is kind of funny for me. I thought it was kind of funny. Every time they said Hillary coming into Florida, and I was reminded of the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton. And so I was like, oh, she's rampaging through Florida looking for Trump. I just think it's funny. If you don't think that's funny, whatever. I'm not going to be upset about it. I just think it's funny. But yeah, so another tropical storm. It's going to turn into a hurricane and hit Florida. And it looks like it's going to go all the way through the upper panhandle of Florida and hit Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and North Carolina. It's rough stuff. Condolences to anybody who might lose anything in that stuff. And I hope you survive, and I hope your livelihood survive, and I hope your home survives. So there you go. Another one from Reuters. Texas grid operator appeals for conservation as heat wave persists. Texas has been having problems for the last few years, and this article's paywalled, so I can't get into too much. But the electric grid in Texas has been especially poor the last several years. And they've been getting these heat waves, and people have been losing power, and people have been losing their lives and things because it's so hot. And in Texas, the government keeps asking them to not use so much electricity. And how do you do that in that kind of heat? I don't know. They need to beef up the grids. They need to beef them up. But even here in Ohio, we've got problems. Our grid is suffering, and our power company asked people to use less power, or they would have to start rolling blackouts. And I'm kind of like, no, we pay you to have electricity. It's not like it's free. It's not like you're providing it out of the goodness of your hearts. We pay for the amount of electricity we use. So if we're using more, you should be taking that money to improve the grid. You shouldn't be using it just for profits. I know you got to make a living just like anybody else, but you got to use it to improve the grid instead of just pouring it all into your pocketbooks, because that's what we're paying for. Don't ask us to use less. You need to take what we're paying you and do more with it. That's what you need to do. That's what I say to them. I don't put up with any of that BS. I don't. BS it is. What's next here? Oh, here's a good one from WION. Skywatchers alert: Saturn will make its brightest and biggest appearance this weekend. Here's how to watch it. You can see it with your telescopes, possibly. Let's see. The giant ringed planet might make its best appearance of 2023 this weekend, which is actually, last weekend because this is last week's news. It will be the brightest and best place during this time, which will be a delight to skywatchers' eyes. So if you folks got to see that, then I hope it was awesome. I'm going to try to see it. I don't have a telescope. I don't. So maybe I'm going to just see if I can pick it out of the sky, I guess, and go from there. I don't know. I'm not usually very good about it. The noise pollution here is not the best, but we'll see what happens. But it does say the planet will remain visible through February 2024. So if you miss it, then don't fret. You'll still catch a sighting if you're looking. Let's see here. Here's a tough one. In ABC News, 3 dead as Marine helicopter crashes in Australia during training, officials say. Now, there's been a lot of problems with military crashes and things. We've lost a few Marines here and there, a few Navy people here and there, a few Army people here and there in helicopter crashes and things like that. And there's been a lot of those, it seems like, over the last couple of years. Like, I don't know if maybe they just hadn't been getting reported and it's pretty common, or if maybe the training on these things is not sufficient anymore. Maybe we're just not training our people well enough. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. This story seems to come up a lot more often. I don't know. And here's news that probably really doesn't matter. From Newsweek, Trump posts executive's number to prove he won golf championship. Let's see. Former President Trump shared the contact information of one of his golf course executives after raising skepticism online with another claim about winning a senior championship. On his platform Truth Social on Saturday, which I'm not a member of, Trump claimed to have won the Senior Club Championship, which included competitors at least 50 years of age, at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. In the past, the former president has made frequent boasts about his success as a golfer, many of which, as happened on Saturday generated pushback and skepticism online. You know, I don't care. If he wants to lie about his golf scores, who cares? Who cares? If it's a tournament at his own golf course, he probably put his own money into it, and then he probably won his own money back. Who cares? Who cares? You know, it's no big deal. People are going to fuss all about it and complain about, oh, there goes Trump again. And I'm just like, whatever. Don't give it the time of day. Who cares? Who cares? Big deal. Let him lie about it if he wants. Or if he's telling the truth, who cares? Let him enjoy it. Whatever. Don't care. Reuters again. Zimbabwe president denies poll fraud as opposition rejects his re-election. Apparently, the ruling party in Zimbabwe has ruled for 43 years. And it looks more and more, apparently, like there's fraud and corruption, all this other kind of stuff. And that's unfortunate. There's a couple of African countries that are doing that. And I feel the same way here in the United States sometimes, seeing some of the people that win our elections. Because they all seem to be the same people, just saying things in different ways. Who knows? I don't know. But it's been tough over there. There's been revolts, and there's been all kinds of things going on in Africa. And Zimbabwe is just the latest one to have some sort of issues. Another one from Reuters, a pipeline leaks on southern Iran's coast. I wonder if this one is paywalled as well. A lot of these from Reuters are paywalled. They didn't used to be. Now it is. But I can read some of it. An oil leak has hit a transmission pipeline linking Iran's Karg Island to the country's mainland port of Geneva, the semi-official Tasnim news agency reported on Sunday without specifying the magnitude of the spill. That's tough because there's not much we can do about that. Iran is its own country. It does its own rules, and it doesn't tell us everything that it's doing. We're having a lot of problems with Iran and its nuclear program. We keep trying to put a stop to it, and they keep saying, well, no, and expanding it on the sly. And so, regardless of the magnitude of the spill, they're probably going to deal with it on their own. And we will probably never know the full extent of it. And that's just how it goes. Here's something interesting from Tech Radar. Unofficial renders show off the Galaxy S24 Ultra next to the iPhone 15 Ultra. And I honestly don't care. I have a Samsung phone. It's it's a Note 10 Plus or something like that. I like it. I like Samsung phones. I don't like Apple phones. I don't like anything Apple product. But I think this stuff is getting to be too fast. I think they're just pumping out new stuff that really isn't that different from the old stuff. It's not that much faster. It doesn't do all that much more. You're probably going to get a new iPhone and do the exact same thing you did with the last iPhone. And you might say, oh, yeah, look how clear my pictures are, just like you did with the last one, and the one before that, and the one before that. And Samsung is kind of getting the same way. I like their phones. I do, but I don't see a point to upgrade every single year, every 6 months, every whatever. I don't see the point. The technology is not advancing that fast. It just looks like it is, but it isn't. It isn't. Let's see. According to ABC News, Biden is not looking to make Trump's legal troubles an election issue, and aide insists. That means what they're going to do is when the mudslinging starts, they're not going to point out Trump's stuff as far as when they talk about how bad they think or they say he is. And when I say that, I don't mean to say that he isn't bad or he isn't good or whatever. I'm not taking sides, remember. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to bring it up at some point. I think if he goes and gets the nomination, which he probably will, it's going to end up being Trump and Biden rematch 2024. Boring, 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 boring. But I think that's going to happen. And I think once the nomination goes on, they are going to bring it up. People involved in the Biden campaign aren't going to let that slip by. They're going to be like, hey, would you want to vote for Joe Biden, who's done this and this and this? Or would you want to vote for Trump, who's been indicted this many times for this many crimes and blah, 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 blah? It's going to come up. They can say that they're taking the high road all they want. But they're going to bring it up. It's going to be a talking point. Bet on it. It was National Dog Day yesterday. So if you have a dog, give them an extra treat. For me, my dog drove me completely insane yesterday. I mean, I've said it before, I've talked about it before. She's really old. She's mostly deaf. She's mostly blind, and she's a bit crazy. And it's a constant struggle to take care of her all the time, to make sure she eats, to make sure she goes to the bathroom, to clean up after her, because she has accidents in the house constantly, and she doesn't know where she's at most of the time. But I do my best. I just want to make sure that she's living out however much left she's got, the best that I can do for her. But it's frustrating, and it is stressful. It is stressful. Here's something for you. In Newsweek, the crowd boos Ron DeSantis at Jacksonville shooting prayer vigil. Even in his home state, he's having to deal with Trump people. I think it's probably Trump people. I don't think it was Democrat people mostly, probably because they're upset about the gun control issues. I think it was probably Trump people, because any opportunity they can to make one person look bad next to Trump, I think, is going to be the thing. But I don't know why everybody keeps bothering still to focus on the other guys. It's going to be Trump and Biden, 100%. There's no way around it. They can't stop Trump from running as much as they want to. They're going to try, but they can't. It's boring. Like I said, boring. Little update on that Marine helicopter crash. It was an Osprey, and they were doing drills in Australia and killed 3 and injured 20. Some of them critically, so there might be more more fatalities from that. And I just feel like the training, like this is supposed to be a training exercise, but I think leading up to this, whoever was doing the helicopter training probably should have been trained more beforehand. I think there's an issue there that needs to be addressed. That's what I think. Pardon me. Let's see. Associated Press. Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan resume negotiations over a disputed dam. Now, this is interesting. Let's take a look at this geopolitical news. They resumed their years-long negotiations Sunday over the controversial dam Ethiopia is building on the Nile River's main tributary. Now, that is interesting. It's a $4.6 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Blue Nile. The Blue Nile meets the White Nile in Sudan's capital of Khartoum before winding northward through Egypt to the Mediterranean Sea. Egypt fears a devastating impact if the dam is operated without taking its needs into account, and it called it an existential threat. The Arab world's most populous country relies almost entirely on the Nile to supply water for agriculture, and it's more than 100 million people. About 80%, 85% of the river's flow originates from Ethiopia. I can see where they're worried. I can see how that might be a problem because the Nile has been super, super important for Egyptian civilization for as long as it's existed, for as long as there have been people living there. And this could threaten to reduce the flow to a level that's a problem. I can understand the issue. So I hope that gets worked out. I hope it gets worked out. Let's see. What else do we got here? Reuters. Archaeologists unearth 3,000-year-old priestly tomb in northern Peru. Is it paywalled? It is. We'll read some of it. They've unearthed a 3,000-year-old tomb which they believe might have honored an elite religious leader in the Andean country some three millennia ago. Dubbed the Priest of Pacopampa, referring to the highland archaeological zone where the tomb was found. The priest was buried under 6 layers of ash mixed with black earth, with decorated ceramic bowls and seals indicating ancient ritual body paint used for people of elite standing, said Peru's Culture Ministry in a statement. Interesting. But there's a lot in South America that we don't know about those civilizations. And stuff like this can help us learn about it. They can give us the information that we need. So I'm interested. Let's see. This is too bad. The original Harley Quinn voice actress from the Batman the Animated Series TV show, Arlene Sorkin, apparently has passed. Mark Hamill, James Gunn, and more paid tribute. This is from Cinema Blend. She passed away at the age of 67. She had retired from doing the Harley Quinn voice for a while, for a long time, so she wasn't doing it anymore. But man, that's a shame. That's a shame. A lot of and not long after Kevin Conroy, who was Batman and Bruce Wayne in that series, he passed like last year, I think. He was getting up there in age. So that's too bad. It's a bright star that had an iconic role. Science Alert says ancient human remains reveal how the Stone Age buried its dead. Archaeologists, I'm going too fast, have discovered evidence of unique early Neolithic burial practices in Guerrero del Silex in Spain, following an analysis of ceramic vessels found with human remains in 2 pits. Representing an early instance of diverse Neolithic funerary customs deep within the Iberian Peninsula, The finding draws attention to the Atapuerca Mountains as a significant frontier for early humans finding a new home in the area. And we're learning more and more about where our ancestors went in the early days and where they came from. And as much as they still say that the out of Africa theory is the big theory, more and more evidence is coming out to show that it isn't. That humans may have developed independently in many different areas and then migrated to places like Africa. And then from there went back out into the world, possibly due to climate at the time. Lots of interesting stuff. And I don't mean that in a way to like delegitimize the African subcontinent's impact on history, because it had an impact, it definitely did. But not every human being originated from there. We originated from a lot of different places. Why is still the question. How did we develop in different places? If it was all evolution, how did that happen? If it wasn't, then where did we come from? That's some big questions. We talk about that on this Uncanny Earth in several episodes if you're interested in that. Otherwise, we'll just keep on doing what we do here. WWG says the game Redfall is being played by virtually nobody on Steam. And that's a shame, because it looked like an interesting game when it was gearing up. And I thought, well, I'm not going to buy it first off the bat because, it's expensive for a game that's mostly like a multiplayer thing, even if you can play it single player. I'm going to wait it out. And apparently it's been a disaster. It's uninspired. The graphics are poor. A bunch of other things are wrong with it. And now almost nobody's playing it. So that's a shame. Definitely a shame. What about you folks? Did any of you play Redfall? I still haven't. I haven't even tried it, and I'm not super interested to get into it at this point. But if it goes to like bargain basement prices or goes on to Game Pass or something, maybe. Was it on Game Pass? Did it debut on Game Pass? It may have. So maybe even if it was free, people are having problems with it. I don't know. I didn't play it. But let me know if you did and what you think. Let's see. Not much else going on. There's a lot of uninteresting stuff. Now, here's something interesting from Variety. Not that I would trust everything that comes from them, but here we go. Denis Villeneuve, I think that's how you do his name, teases possible Dune 3 and says, quote, there are words on paper. And that's interesting because Dune 2 has not even been released yet, and it's been delayed. So they're already talking about a 3, so they have high expectations. High expectations, I suppose. But that's looking like it's about it. It's kind of a slow news day. There's mostly like entertainment stuff that's not that interesting. Celebrity drama and things like that. And I'm more into some news you can chew on. Space news and dinosaur news and a little bit of political news. I think it's important to talk about it and get your brains working. Even though a lot of it's just attention seeking. Like I don't go into every single Trump story because it's all just attention seeking. I don't go into the Sam Biden stuff because it's all just attention seeking. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't do that kind of stuff. If there's particular news areas you want me to look more closely at, let me know. Drop a comment on this video or leave me a nicely worded email, sternly if you need to, but not insulting and not condescending, at uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. And I will read it and I'll get back to you. Unless, of course, you're mean. Then I won't. If you insult me, I ain't going to talk to you. I ain't going to talk to you at all. We're adults. We're grown-ups. We can talk everything, even politics and viruses and all this other stuff, without insulting each other. And I will not entertain someone else's opinion if it's just going to be insulting or derogatory or whatever. Just want to make sure everybody knows the ground rules, because I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to come out at you and spew a bunch of hate just because we don't agree on something. If you voted for Joe Biden, I'm not going to come out and be like, you big, why would you do something so stupid? If you voted for Trump, I'm not going to come up and be like, oh, you big old dummy, why would you do blah, blah, blah? If you stand for Trump, you stand for this. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not going to do that. Okay? We're adults. We're grown-ups. Let's start acting like grown-ups when we talk about this stuff, okay? Please. I say please, but I'm not gonna negotiate. If you can't talk to me like a grown-up about things, don't talk to me. That's just how it is. I don't have to listen. You can say whatever you want. That's free speech. That's the First Amendment. You can say what you want without, direct reprisal, but that doesn't mean I have to sit there and listen to it or care or entertain it in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Okay. So that's it. That's your Monday. That's your Monday here in September. I hope you folks enjoyed the episode. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning on Tuesday for another episode of Sippin Coffee with Spider. The best morning show that's out there right now. Probably, or probably not. I'm probably just spewing that out my backside, but that's okay. It's better than that other morning show that other lady did. Let's talk about the whatever. Everything she touches turns to trash. And it will always turn to trash. And on that note, I'm going to let you have a great day. Get my negativity off the air and let you guys have a great morning and a great afternoon. So go do that.